Gorka likes when the president stands up for himself.
He's calling upon all the people in his staff who were in the room with Nancy just to prove how much of an absolute liar about what she said about the president. You don't allow their lies to fester and grow. You crush them.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka.
Issues to talk about around here. But if you think it's a good idea to take your 4-year-old kid to a Major League Baseball game, here's a tip. Don't sit in the area where he or she can get hit by a 105-mile-an-hour line drive, okay? That's what happened in Houston last night during a game between the Astros and the Cubs. The Cubs center fielder, Albert Almora, he ripped one into the seats just past the third base dugout, and it hit a 4-year-old girl. And her dad, upset obviously. It was a nasty scene at the ballpark. Everything came to a stop. Even the player who hit the ball was in tears, Almora, and now we're hearing the calls for what else? More netting. Now every team has netting now. To the end, that's every team in the major leagues has netting now to the end of the dugout. A little bit down the left field line. Now, a New York Times story asked the question, does baseball need more netting? Somehow baseball lasted over 100 years with no netting, but now there's not enough netting, even though every ballpark has netting all the way down the line or to the end of the dugout at least. Now, here's the stupidity. It ain't about the netting. It's about parents who thought it was a good idea to sit in those seats with a 4-year-old girl. Obviously, the main thing, she's fine. I don't know about fine, but she's not seriously hurt. Will be about the need for more netting. And I may be the only else or leave the kid at home. Well, here's an idea. Don't kid yourself about how much a 4-year-old enjoys a Major League Baseball game. Well, maybe he or she will be fascinated, by the sights and sounds for a few minutes. I mean, it's a big deal. You're in a ballpark, and you know what that's like. There's a lot of noise and activity, and maybe it's exciting for a kid. She thinks she's at the circus. I don't know. Maybe she does have some at the game and what she should be watching. So people say it all the time to me when I see pictures. I'm watching a ball game and I see a shot of an adult with an infant in his or her arms at a baseball game, and I just don't get it. But don't kid yourself that and make to think that this kid really loves it, because that's what I hear people say. My kid loves it there. Well, you don't know. When I take him or her to the game, they just think it's great. Well, here's something for you. Playing in the dumpster outside the ballpark. If you took him down to PNC Park and put him in the dumpster, a 4-year-old, probably, and it's not that hard for him to be entertained, okay? So try that. The sad thing is that everybody else who was sitting in that section last night in Houston was aware that a ball could come flying in there at 100 miles an hour. You know who wasn't aware that could happen? Probably the only person in that section that wasn't aware that it was a possibility that by the ball, because she's 4. Other people chose to sit there close to her without a net. The little girl was put there by her parents. And you know what else it is? It's selfish. If you want to take a 4-year-old somewhere to have a swings, maybe a slide. I don't know if they're still allowed to have monkey bars, but, if they have those, maybe. It won't be nearly as much fun for you as going to see the Astros and the Cubs, but it will be fun for her or him. So be prepared to hear about how Major League Baseball hasn't gone far enough to protect their fans, but don't expect to hear too many people talk about the stupidity of bringing a 4-year-old to a game, much less wasting a box seats with a 4-year-old. And this may not be a major issue right now, but it's a perfect example of just how stupid the human race has become. In our next half hour, we're going to talk about even more stupidity. When we come back after the break, we're going to do that. But, first of all, the next half hour, we're going to talk about more stupidity. But when we come back after this break, you're going to hear from Elizabeth Warren, and she's going to tell you all about the free stuff she has planned for you. It's really, dumb.
Dum 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 dee doo be dum 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 dee doo be dum.
And the construction of a Miracle League athletic field. The fields are designed to make it possible for kids with special needs to play sports.
Every child, no matter what the situation, deserves a chance to be able to play, to compete, and have a place that's safe, takes care of needs that
A buddy system I thought was pretty impressive. What's that all about?
kids with special needs have a buddy, a child who's in school. It's like having an older brother or sister involved with you. So it's really good, and that everybody has human dignity of being able to participate.
The website is miraclesinmoon.org. Check it out, and let's help make this dream a reality. Hey, Rocky, thanks, and we'll be talking to you again.
Thank you for having me.
All right,
I
man.
appreciate
Take it easy.
Thanks.
Rocky
All right,
Blyer, and
bye-bye.
we'll be right back.
Hi, Hugh Hewitt here for PatriotMobile.com. I need you to go and switch today to PatriotMobile.com/Hugh. Let me tell you why. Big Mobile is supporting the left. I'm talking about AT&T, Verizon. They cut big checks to the big left, and they do it every year in and year out, decade after decade, but not Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is the country's only conservative cell phone company. A portion of every one of your bills goes to support conservative causes, the Second Amendment, pro-life causes, conservative activism at the Heritage Foundation. They also have unlimited talk and text plans starting as low as $25 a month, so don't wait. At Patriot Mobile, a young company, more than $2 million has already been used to support your constitutional rights. Imagine what we can do with you on our side when you switch to Patriot Mobile. Join me to stop the left and switch to Patriot Mobile today. We need you now more than ever. Mobile.com/Hugh. That's PatriotMobile.com. /Hugh.
Getting close to retirement? Experienced a nice Trumponomics bump in your portfolio? Well, we know the market goes up, and unfortunately, we also know it goes down. Don't risk your retirement to market whims. Learn how you can lock in those gains today by spending time with the team at Marley Financial. Todd Marley and the experts at Marley Financial can help you design a retirement plan that is bulletproof against the market's ups and downs. The team at Marley Financial uses a multitude of different techniques to make sure that you have a retirement plan that is tax-friendly, stable, and worry-free. Oh, and speaking of taxes, did you know that Marley Financial can handle that too? With all the changes in the tax laws, be sure you're taking advantage of the best possible deduction and make sure you know what adjustments to make for your overall financial picture going forward. Call today for a no-obligation consultation to see just how for 25 years the clients at Marley Financial have never had a retirement plan fail. Call 724-884-1496 today. 724-884
Factor.com.
The John Steigerwald Show, AM 1250, The Answer.
So, just following up on what we had in that first segment, and I'm sure you're going to be seeing if you get home tonight and how mean Major League Baseball is for not having more netting, or how irresponsible Major League Baseball teams are for not doing a better job of protecting their paying customers. So the New York Times has had a story described to you before. A 4-year-old The episode just the the episode brought renewed anguish for Jeffrey Jacobson. It was his daughter, weeks shy of her second birthday, who was hospitalized with multiple facial fractures and bleeding on the brain after being hit by a foul ball at the stadium on September 17th, 2017. Now, I don't know where they were sitting, but for her to be injured that much, the ball interview calling it's all over the news. It wouldn't have happened if it had been daughter had to be taken to the hospital. A 2-year-old kid to game for what going to be behind screen. And now that they have the nets, okay, sit by where the net. I don't know, 25, 50, 100 years. If you brought a 2-year-old and sat down there in those seats with a kid that age, you shouldn't be surprised if your kid gets hurt. Doesn't mean that, you deserve it or that, you got what you asked for. It just is, it's a major, it raises a lot of questions about your judgment that you would bring your kid and sit there with the over. The kid's fine. That's great. It's the coverage of this. You are going to hear nothing but discussion about the netting and the need for more safety, and you will hear little, if any, discussion about the judgment of the parents for sitting there with the kid in the first place. And I'm talking about coming from sports people who you would think would know, would as soon as they saw a kid get hit by I don't know, my first reaction is, what are they doing down there with that kid sitting in those seats? That's my first reaction. But now I guess you're supposed to blame the team for having netting, which they didn't have for, I don't know, since about 1900. They haven't had netting. So, 120 years, there's no need for netting, but now there is because people are stupidly bringing little kids, babies, toddlers. As a 2-year-old, an infant, I think that qualifies as an infant. It's a toddler at best, to sit in the seats where the ball's going to come flying in there 100 miles an hour. So that's that. But I had to say that because as soon as I saw the story last night, I knew that we were going to get more of this, and it's going to be all on the netting and nothing on the parents, because who wants to actually have personal responsibility? Okay, speaking of that, you don't want to have to ever pay for anything, right? So you want everything to be free. Well, guess who was on The View today? Elizabeth Warren, who, from what I hear, she's now moved into third place in the running for the Democrat nomination. I heard today, she's right behind Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. She's, I think, 66 years old, which makes her the kid among those three, among Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. But she was on The View today, and are you ready for all the free stuff she has for you?
On education, I want to see student loan debt forgiveness for 95% of our folks who've got student loans. close the racial wealth gap. I want to see $50 billion put into the historically black colleges and universities. Helps level the playing field. On housing, I want to see 3 million new housing units built all across the country, but also attack racial redlining head on and try to make some changes on that. And my proposal is a 2-cent wealth tax on the top 1/10 of 1%. Your 50 million for about free technical school, 2-year college, and 4-year college for every one of our kids who want. Of every child care worker and preschool teacher to the left. You know what's going to happen.
Yay! Did you hear the people cheering? You know, I cut it off right before she got to the free. Maybe I just have a sneaking suspicion that nobody on the panel there, unless it would be Meghan McCain, but none of the others would say to her, Betty, Elizabeth, how are you gonna pay for this? I mean, well, she says there's take two cents of after the first $50 billion, and so I guess my advice would be if you are a college student or the parent of a college student, get out to the bank and borrow some money, lots of money. I mean, tons of money. And if you can figure out a way to borrow the money and say that it's for a student loan, but not, be obligated to actually take the money and use it for a student loan, go buy yourself a nice car, take a big vacation, and then just wait for Betty Warren to tell you don't have to pay it back. Just get out there and borrow some money. Get out there, get to the bank, tell them it's for college. Tell your kid it's for college. Tell them not to worry about it. We're going to get Elizabeth Warren elected president, and all the student debt's going to be gone because the people who make $50 million a year are going to pay for it. And it's only going to cost them 2 cents on every dollar that they make after $50 million. Why hasn't somebody thought of that before? It's so simple. Free stuff for everybody, and just get the people who make over $50 million to pay for everything. This is such a simple thing. I don't understand why it hasn't happened before. And while we're on the subject of stupidity, which that seems to be the theme today, what are you doing for dinner tonight? I mean, if you don't have a date, or if you're driving home from work and you haven't decided what you're going to do for dinner tonight, you could go to a race to dinner, RACE 2, the number 2 dinner. These are two women named Regina, and Sarah, Saira. And it's called Race to Dinner. And here's what it says on the website. Are you really ready to join us? You go to the dinner, if you're a white woman, you go to the dinner and they yell at you for being white and they blame you for everything that's wrong in their lives. This is on from the website, Race to Dinner. This dinner is not for you or about you. The dinner will be painful, uncomfortable, maddening, and upsetting. You can get now it's in bold letters. Are you truly ready to join? Then it says, you want to plan your race to dinner. That is where the race to dinners come in here. And it says, white women, we are talking about you. We are talking about your complicity in upholding white supremacy and keeping us brown and black women down. You like to think this is the stuff of Fox News, but it is more than that. A complete system that functions in all areas: economic, political, educational, health, religion, war, media advertising, entertainment, labor, law, and every other system, which all work to keep all things in place that support white supremacy. Everything out there is there to support your white supremacy. I'm adding that. Then it says, our goal is to dig out the tumor called white privilege, power, control, and reveal it for what it is, an even more sinister and toxic form of racism. You are an integral part of this system. It is time for you to own that. Now, again, this is an invitation for you to come. I don't know who pays. I don't know if they buy your dinner, if you buy, who picks up the check. I don't know. But you get to go to the dinner and listen to this nonsense from these two women. And the best thing about this is that these two women are arrogant enough to believe, well, maybe I shouldn't say this. They actually think that somebody's going to take them up on it. It's like a white woman's going to come across this website and say, that looks like a pretty good idea. Let me call Aaron up, and I got nothing to do tomorrow night. Let's go to dinner with, what did I say their names were? Regina and Sarah. And let's have them yell at us for an hour or so. Could you excuse me? Could you pass the asparagus while you're? If I can get a word in here edgewise. I'm sorry for everything, by the way. I apologize. It's my fault. I'm a white supremacist. Every problem in your life is my fault. Could you pass the peas, please? Unbelievable. This is just the mission. Our mission is simple: reveal the naked truth about racism in America and your complicity as white women. You're complicit. Erin's in there. She's a white woman. She's sitting in there behind the glass. She's the producer, and she's complicit. And you need to go to dinner. I'm going to get you set up with a dinner with these two women, and you can report back to me, Erin, okay? Yeah, right. All right. And we'll be right back with even, believe it or not, more stupidity. Stick around.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Commander-in-Chief has addressed the 61st graduating class at the United States Air Force Academy.
President Trump calling the newly heading cadets American patriots.
You exemplify the grit, the guts, and the grace that make America's Air Force by far best in the world.
He offered this.
When it comes to your pain, many of you might be skeptical, like I was, about ordering Relief Factor. Pat Boone again for this wonderful 100% drug-free supplement designed to help your own body lower or eliminate occasional aches and pains due to aging, exercise, everyday living. I'm not skeptical any longer. The 3-week quick start is now discounted only $19.95. Why do you Relief Factor?
The copperhead snake. It hisses before attacking. But that's not a copperhead. That's the Sullivan's RV freshwater tank overflowing into their black one, which is backing into their vent pipe, making for a very different kind of attack. One that arrives just in time for taco night. It's wild out there. When it gets too wild, Progressive will be covered. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Larry Elder knows why Mueller doesn't want to testify publicly.
Here's the deal. Mueller feels he's already testified. He wrote a 400-plus page report on the investigation. Everything's in there. Interviewed all those witnesses, took all those depositions, had all those investigators, spent $25-30 million. Why do I need to come and testify again? What's the point?
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 7, right before Joe Walsh at 9 on AM 1250. The Answer.
Pella has done it again with our brand new lifestyle series. Pella can customize window replacement solution room. Imagine bedroom and bathroom windows with shades between the glass. A room-darkening experience for sleep in one room and beautiful privacy in the other. Pella Lifestyle Series is the #1 performing wood window and patio door. For a limited time, get 50% off installation in 12 months, no payments, no interest. Call 888-77-PELLA or PellaPittsburgh.com.
Hunt & Associates is your resource for examining the important financial aspects for your retirement plan. Listen to our podcast radio show, Hunt for Retirement, by visiting gwhunt.com. On this week's edition of Hunt for Retirement, we discuss securing lifetime income. Text HUNT to 555-888 or visit gwhunt.com to listen to the podcast now, or call 844-366-HUNT for a free copy of the book, Income Allocation, and a free retirement income report.
1 in 7 men is diagnosed with prostate cancer in his lifetime. The good news? When caught early, it can be treated. The bad? All treatment options have side effects like impotence, urinary leakage, and rectal bleeding. New Space Ore Hydrogel is FDA cleared and clinically proven to help. Men receiving Space Ore Hydrogel were more likely to maintain their normal sexual, urinary, and bowel functions. Visit spaceoar.org or ask your doctor about Space Ore Hydrogel.
You're an insurance agent. You're also an entrepreneur looking to grow. And what better way to grow than by being your own boss? Owning your own farmer's insurance agency has been called one of the best small business opportunities in America. With a nationally respected brand, award-winning training, and your personal experienced business coach, your opportunity to grow is unlimited. No franchise fees required. Visit beafarmersagent.com and start growing.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer.
Use plenty of caution out there. Still a lot of streets and roads flooded and down trees to watch out for. We do also have delays on the Parkway East, outbound 2nd Avenue out to Edgewood, Swissvale. Inbound Heavy Boulevard at the Allies to the Fort Pitt Bridge. Parkway West, you're slowing down outbound Sawmill Run Boulevard to Carnegie, and also outbound from 79 out to 60. That's a look at traffic. I'm Jenny Robinson.
AM 1250, The Answer. Weather.
A flash flood watch in effect until 11 o'clock this evening. We'll have a shower, locally heavy storm around for the evening hours tonight, and will turn out partly cloudy later on, along with some areas of fog, low 58. Clouds and sun tomorrow with a passing shower, high 76. Saturday, a couple of showers and a heavy gusty thunderstorm will be around for the afternoon, high Saturday 79. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm meteorologist Danielle Niddle.
This is the John Steigerwald Show on AM 1250. The Answer.
Now it's time for some transgender stupidity. The Supreme Court was offered a chance to bring some sanity to the situation, but it passed recently. It's a story we told you about a few months ago, and it got the attention of the Alliance Defending Freedom. Christiana Holcomb is a legal counsel for ADF. She joined. Christiana, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So on Tuesday, the Supreme Court refused to take up the case of Doe versus Boyertown. What is the case, and why is this important?
Sure. Well, back in the 2016-2017 school year, a local Pennsylvania high school district decided, without notifying parents and without notifying students, that it was going to open up student restrooms and locker room facilities to members of the opposite sex. What's going on here? We think there's been a mistake. We're not sure why they're in here. And the school administration said, this is the way it is. This is our new. You have to tolerate
this position because they really believe that's the way it should be, or because they believe that there's no way they can beat it. They have nowhere to or hide?
Really difficult to say, and my guess would be that even internal to the school district, there probably are differing opinions there. But what we do know is that school administrators have a duty to all of the students in their care, and that duty is to protect every single student's right to privacy. They can infringe on the privacy of some students in order to provide other students with what they desire. The other thing to your legal point, though, is they're actually violating federal laws. So every one of us has a right to bodily privacy. The whole point of having, men and women's restrooms and locker rooms and shower areas is because we have privacy. It matters, and it particularly matters to teenagers, and as they're growing up and in pretty vulnerable moments there. So it violates constitutional law, violates federal law, and we're deeply disappointed that the Supreme Court chose not to take up the case at this time.
But that all makes sense to me. But the lower court disagreed and sided with the school, right?
It did. Now, this was very early in the case on what's called a motion for preliminary injunction. And yes, the Third Circuit Court of Appeals essentially decided that the students' privacy didn't matter and that the right of these other kids to go into a bathroom or into a locker room of the opposite sex somehow trumps the personal bodily right to privacy, which we fundamentally disagree with.
Well, that brings me to another question. And we're talking to Christiana Holcomb. She's legal counsel for Defending Freedom. How is the right, first of all, you say it's a constitutional, before I get to my question, you say it's a constitutional right to body privacy. Where is that in the Constitution, just so I know? I mean, if you were going to be citing it, where would that be?
Again, there is a fundamental right to bodily privacy that exists as a matter of due process. Mm-hmm. And no one should have that taken away, particularly by a powerful school administration against kids, teenagers, those who've been entrusted to their care.
So, my question is, how is the right to bodily privacy going to survive if it's determined, as it's being determined these days, that your body has nothing to do with your sex, and they're basically saying there's nothing to be embarrassed about. If you say you're a woman, and if I say I'm
biological sex is male and female, regardless of what you believe about your gender.
Well, did the Supreme Court do that? Does the Supreme Court in
the case, it generally doesn't give a reason, and it did not do so in this case. But it's not the end of the issue. In some respects, to be expected. This is the first student privacy late in the court system for a little while before it addresses it.
So the hope is that the Supreme Court will take up a similar case, either the one you mentioned. I saw another story where there was one where a girl who identifies as a boy was suing a school because the school wanted her to use a gender-neutral bathroom, and I don't want her reason. Are you familiar with that case?
Not off the top of my head. Yeah. What I will say is the Supreme Court certainly will address this question in the near future. Again, it's already agreed to take up a very similar case this fall, and we would expect to have that decision, within the next year. Appeal. So it's actually headed back down right now.
Rule with I think you and I agree on would be common sense. What happens after that? What happens with all the? What happens with? How far-reaching would it be? We have issues here with sports, with biological men competing against women. We had a man win the women's Division II the weekend. Wow. Would it stretch all the way over and cover all that stuff and the Title IX issues?
Yeah, entirely speculative at this point. It all depends on how the court addresses the issue, what its opinion looks like, how it analyzes it. But I do know the Supreme Court will have to address this question of at a bottom level in federal law, does sex mean what it has always meant, male and female, or are we going to allow this broad redefinition into gender identity? Once the court decides, massive ramifications across all of these areas.
Just as a point of discussion here, I mean, if someone would have 20 years ago suggested to the Supreme Court, to anybody, I'm guessing anybody who was on the Supreme Court at that time, anything to do with a case like this, that would get laughed at. I mean, they wouldn't get in the building with it. But the culture has changed to the point. Seriously, this is something that nobody. If you woke from a coma today after being in.
Boyertown will be vindicated and that privacy will be protected.
Now, I have a question I want to ask you, and I'm not all that comfortable asking you, but I'm going to. And I've asked this before, at least I don't know if I've asked someone with your legal background, but would you be able to get around this by instead of having men and women's rooms, you have a room that says penis, vagina on the door? You got one of these, you go in there. You got one of those, you go in there.
Oh, well, thankfully those are not the facts that are before us.
No, but I mean, that's a serious question. It's a serious question.
But it goes to show just how far we've come, right?
Right.
This should not be complicated. The whole point of restrooms and locker rooms separated by boys and girls is because of our biological differences and to protect our individual privacy. And we hope the court ultimately will resolve that.
Well, I guess I was trying to simplify it, but we don't care what you think you are. It's that you are, and that's how we decide what room you use. It just doesn't seem to. It's amazing to me that it's actually it hasn't reached the Supreme Court yet, but you're saying it's only a matter of time, right?
It was only a matter of time before the Supreme Court has to address this. It's through the Boyertown case.
Legal issues and constitutional. Last few years, actually. Is it a conservative liberal thing? How is it going to break down the way all the other Supreme Court debates break down?
Well, as it relates to the case that the court will hear in the fall, which is the Harris funeral case, I don't think that should be a close question whatsoever. It's a very simple question presented to the court, which is, does the word sex clear? And we're optimistic that the Supreme Court will affirm what we all know, which sex means.
Because I do what you
open restrooms and locker rooms to members of the opposite biological sex. There would be no point in having sex-segregated private spaces. I'm concerned about women's shelters and, victims of domestic abuse and rape and violence being forced to sleep alongside men. There's massive, massive ramifications for inserting this concept of gender identity into law. And so we're hoping will help us to avoid all of those issues. And again, just affirm what we have known, as you say, for hundreds of years, which is that there are differences, there are biological differences between men and women, and our laws reflect that.
Well, it seems like common sense, and it doesn't seem like you should need the Supreme Court to decide it, but that's where we are, I guess, right?
It is.
All right, Christiana Holcomb, thanks a lot for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, meat lovers, Beef Jerky Outlet presents over 100 delicious ways to get your snack on. There's nothing slim about these big flavors. This is high-end quality gourmet jerky in more flavors than you've ever thought possible. From wild game to pepper and spice to sweet and savory, there's something for everyone. Flavors like honey jalapeno, Cajun barbecue beef brisket, sweet bourbon traditional, Asian sesame, teriyaki, cherry maple, and peppercorn smoked beef, just to name a few. With Father's Day coming up, this is a total no-brainer for the guy in your life. Outlet.com for fabulous gift ideas. Plus, check out their phenomenal selection of rubs, sauces, and marinades. Beef Jerky Outlet at Tanger Outlets in Washington and their brand new location at Grove City Outlets. Beef Jerky Outlet, proud sponsor of the Jerk of the Week, heard every Friday right here on the John Steigerwald Show. Check them out, beefjerkyoutlet.com.
Are you about to pay double for roof replacement or repair? If you haven't called Windows R Us, you just might. Many companies are overcharging area homes and businesses nearly double with over 50 years in home remodeling. Windows R Us is more than today. Mention AM 1250 for an exclusive 10% off. Why pay double? Visit the area's premier exterior replacement company. Windows R Us, more than a window company. Visit windowsruspittsburgh.com.
A couple of weeks ago, we had Rocky Blyer here to talk about his work with Miracle League in Moon Township, Fields for Athletes with Special Needs. Jim Leland, the Pirates' former manager, is also involved in that project. Jim, thanks for being here.
Great to be here, John. Great to talk to you.
Tell me about the Miracle League of Moon Township.
It's just a great thing for these kids, and it's a wonderful opportunity to people to participate. Some people are a little less fortunate than others, and I think it's just a great opportunity for people to volunteer and to help out and put a smile on somebody's face.
I've seen the field that they put out in Upper St. Clair. It's amazing.
Oh, it's unbelievable. The way they construct these things, they have the ramps and everything for the kids. It takes a little stress off the parents. I think it's what Pittsburgh's all about. It's just a great thing.
It'll serve Montour, West Allegheny, Moon, Sewickley, Weirton, Steubenville, Beaver County, and surrounding communities. Approximately 100 to 200 children will be eligible to participate, and it'll also serve adults with special needs. So it's a great cause. And if you'd like to see how you can help, maybe donate some money, check it out at miraclesinmoon.org. Miraclesinmoon.org. We'll be right back.
Share, like, comment, tweet. Are these foreign terms to your business? They may not be to your competition and the reason you're losing sales. Social media marketing is on the verge of dominating commerce. The right social media strategy can help you slay the competition and gain new customers. We're Salem Surround. We take the mystery of digital marketing off your shoulders, letting you run your business Pittsburgh.com. SurroundPittsburgh.com. Connect with new customers.
You're listening to the John Steigerwald Show on AM 1250. The Answer.
Well, we spent a lot of time here today talking about stupidity, and I was not my first choice. What I wanted to do was try to find a local Democratic congressman, man in both cases that I tried, to talk about how they feel about the possibility of impeachment in light of what Robert Mueller said yesterday. Unfortunately, these guys are Mike Doyle and Connor Lamb are the two I tried to get hold of. They're really hard to get a hold of. I've been asking Connor Lamb to be on the talk show now for about, 3 or 4 months. And no, not yet. He's a little too busy. And so today, I talked to Matt Dinkle. He's on the staff for Mike Doyle, and he told me that Mike was traveling. But here's the thing that bothers me. What bothers me that I can't get a statement from him. From Mike Doyle, he didn't have a statement. There was something on his website dated May 23rd, which is before Mueller spoke, and he said Mike was traveling, which I'll take him for his word on that. But he said he'd try to get back to me. That's fine with a statement. But Connor Lamb's office, his publicist, Aaron, the producer, sent him an email asking him for a statement, just a statement. What's his stance on impeachment? I mean, it's kind of in the news a lot, the last couple of days, all over cable news, that there are Democrats who are in favor of impeachment. Wouldn't it be news to find out Website and said, I think you'll get the answer here. And it was a statement from May the 23rd about Robert Mueller's unredacted report. Nothing to do whatsoever with what Robert Mueller said yesterday. But the other thing that bothered me was when I talked to Mike Doyle's guy, Matt, he said, I said, am I the only local guy who thinks this should be a story? He said, you're the only guy who called me, only person contacted a local congressman to find out how he feels about impeaching the President of the United States, which is being openly discussed by people that are running for president on the Democratic ticket. And I can't get an answer. So I'm just telling you that's the way it is. How much time I got left, Darren? I only have a minute. I don't have time to. I guess I don't have time to talk about MTV revealing its first sexually fluid reality dating show. 16 singles will travel to Hawaii in hopes. This is a show that apparently is on. I didn't even know MTV was still on. But from coming out moments to exploring the intricacies of sexual and gender identity, this season of Are You the One aims to highlight powerful stories about what it means to find love as a sexually fluid individual. You can't get enough of that. And MTV apparently is still on the air, it's on cable. They talked about ghosting in here, and I didn't get a chance. I was going to ask Aaron about ghosting. I don't have time to ask you, do I? All right, well, I'm going to ask you, what's ghosting, real quick?
Ghosting, real quick, is where you're in a relationship, either a friendship or a boyfriend, girlfriend, and
we're called ghosting, but thank you, Aaron. A lot of stupidity and a lot of good stuff too, but there's a lot of stupidity out there. It's not hard to find, put it that way. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
The John Steigerwald Show is a production of AM 1250 The Answer and Salem Media Group.
Lifestyle window when open. Here it is, closed. The new Pella Lifestyle series is the #1 performing wood window and patio door for sound control, energy efficiency, and value. Keep the outside noise outside. More peace and better rest for your family. Exceptional noise control for a quieter home. For a limited